Hey, y'all, we're in a series called Recovery Road, and we started this series a few weeks ago. And one of the things that we said in that is that we don't want to be the church of current events. Like, we don't want to just watch the news and then start preaching about what's on the news. I told you I'm nowhere near smart enough to be able to do that, and you guys would get bored. But I do think sometimes things happen, and we need to speak into those. And so we're still in the middle of a pandemic. And so we said, let's speak into this, and how can we recover and come better and go through this and come be better on the other side of this. So the last 2 weeks, there's been more stuff going on in our country, in our world, in our state. And we have the opportunity to speak about it. And I feel as a pastor, as a leader, we don't need to miss this opportunity. And so today, we're going to speak about what's been going on in our nation, in our state, in our country, over the last couple weeks with the riots and the protest, but that's just not the important part of it. We're going to talk about the important part, and the important part of this is what we call racism, because here's the thing, and we'll talk about this here in a second. But when I was going through school, it was taught that racism was, and now we have laws that correct that. But what we know in today's world, what we can see is that racism still exists. And so I've invited a couple friends of mine today to help us get perspective, help me get perspective, because here's the thing. I want to sit down and I want to listen. I want to learn. I want to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. And last Monday, so I'm going to timestamp this a little bit if you don't know. Last Monday was May 25th. And there was a gentleman by the name of George Floyd. If you're watching this a few years past 2020, I hope you haven't forgotten about that, and I hope you don't forget about it. And so, but there was a gentleman by the name of George Floyd who lost his life on the streets of Minnesota from a cop who was arresting him and put his knee in his back or his neck for over 9 minutes. And George ultimately succumbed to that force from the police officer. And so and it raised awareness. And when I saw the video, something inside me welled up. And I said, you know, a lot of times I don't say anything because I don't know what to say. But in those moments, as I watched the video and was appalled and was heartbroken, I felt I had to say something. And so today, I want to give a little bit of a disclaimer in this is I don't know all the right things to say. That's why I'm sitting here with these two guys. I want to learn how to say things. I want to learn what I can say to help. I want to be a part of the solution. And so I've invited my friends, Dr. Octavius Mulligan. Octavius Mulligan.
It's just Octavius.
Here, he's a elementary school principal in the area here, and so I've invited him and my friend Tavares King, who neither one of these gentlemen need any introduction probably to our area, but Tavares, athlete, former athlete, still athlete. I don't know what is it.
Retired. I'm retired.
Retired athlete.
Yes, sir.
But now business owner.
Yes, business owner.
And so still doing that. And so the obvious reason why you guys are here, if it's not obvious enough yet, that you guys aren't the same color skin as me. Pretty obvious. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring you guys to have a conversation so I can learn. And hopefully the people that are watching this can learn how we can help. We live in an area in Northeast Georgia that is predominantly white. Probably 80 to 90% is white. And so some of the struggles that you guys face, even being in this area, growing up in this area, but you've probably been here long enough now, you feel like you've grown up here. And so, you know, that some of the struggles that you face. And so I just want to kind of give us perspective in this. Could you, and we'll start with Octavius here. Could you just maybe give us an instance in your life where you have experienced racism, that you have personally experienced racism?
All right, so I'm going to put the question back off on you, and then I'll answer from there.
Oh, great. You're like Jesus. You ask a question with a question.
Do you want to know of incidents that happened here in this area, or do you want to know about incidents that's happened in general?
Just give me an in general, just an instance in general.
Okay, so I'll tell you what
That way,
happened here.
that'll work.
I'll tell you my introduction to Habersham County.
Okay.
This was, and I'm gonna date myself right here. This was 31 years ago. I was a freshman at Piedmont College. I was there to play basketball, and a friend of mine, a teammate, and I wasn't always a good guy, so let's go ahead and say that. We were at a store to buy spirits.
I majored in sitting in college too, so I'm good.
Yeah, so we were there to buy spirits and minerals and things like that, and we were told, and I'm new here, so I don't know. This guy's not even from here.
Right.
So we drive to this area. They said, you go there, you don't have to have ID. They'll give it to you. We pull up at the store. We go to the drive-thru. He asked for what he asked for. He gets it. And before we could get out of there, that guy says to my friend, you are a blankety-blank lover. And I thought, whoa, where are we? We got to get out of here. And so for me, at that time, our safe haven was campus.
Right.
Because nobody really acted like that on campus. So we scurried on and went back to campus. And I was like, dude, that's crazy. I've had issues like that, but not to the point where he says it right there to our face. Yeah. And, it kind of put me on alert. You're in an area, you don't need to be hanging out and messing around because you're not accepted here. Now, here's the negative part to that. Now that I'm mature, that guy, he doesn't speak for everybody in Habersham. I know that. I've had experiences that I know he doesn't speak for everybody, but he speaks for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And it touched me because I thought, I'm a black guy. I'm technically from New York. We don't roll like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I had been in the state of mind that I was in when I was in New York, there would have been a fight. There would have been something. But, unfortunately, we got out of there, and it doesn't matter where it is now. But it is a place, and it happens. And most of you people watching, I hope you guys know me. So I think when you know somebody that's happened to, it hits closer to home. It makes it real. When you see it on TV, it's kind of like, oh, that's TV. That's Atlanta. Mm. Now, that's California. Well, folks, it happened to me right here in Habersham.
Yeah. Mm. So, Tavares, you grew up here from the time you were born, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so, but because of your athletic ability, we're able to get out and explore and see much more of the country than I've even seen, being an athlete, being a professional athlete and that. So talk to me maybe about some of the experiences that you've seen just over the course of your life where you've experienced some sort of racism directly.
Like Octavius, I grew up here. I've experienced it here. My earliest memory of feeling any kind of oppression or any kind of different, I was probably 6, 7 years old. My daddy took us up to North Georgia Technical College, and I can just remember my sister Shaz saying, well, why can't we swim? All the white people are swimming. Mm. And that hit me different at 6. So yeah, I say that to let you know that it happens, it affects people from knee high to tree high. Mm. And I was 6 years old, and I remember that. And it's happened to me before. I've been on a golf course, and guys have said, oh, they're letting the caddies play today, stuff like that. I've been pulled over, had my car searched. In Athens, Georgia.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs, rightfully so. In Athens, Georgia, there's signs on bars specifically that say no earrings, no fitted hats, no white T-shirts, no black T-shirts, no Jordans. So in that sense,
no J's.
No J's. No J's. You can't get in there. You can't get in there. But I could get in there because I was an athlete. But systematically, who are they trying to keep out of their establishment?
Right. Yeah.
And I say that to say to you to not be naive. those things are there, even if you don't know they're there.
Yeah.
I knew they were there, and I still would go in those places, but some of my friends couldn't go because they weren't athletes. They weren't me. Now, did that make that right? Heck no, it didn't at all, and it still doesn't. But that's there, and that's a small form of systematic oppression.
Yeah.
But it's there.
Yeah, yeah. So when you guys woke up on or the 26th, maybe I go to bed early. I'm not quite as your age, but I'm not as young as you, so I got to go to bed.
Oh.
Yeah, you like that, didn't you? Sorry.
Not quite. Whoa.
Yeah. But I do go to bed. I mean, it's like 9 o'clock, and I'm out, and so
Just getting home.
yeah. So, but when you first saw the video of George Floyd, that's gotten much more notoriety here those last few weeks, rather than the Ahmaud Arbery video that surfaced a couple months after it happened. But when you saw the video of George Floyd, what did that, Tavares? What did that? Because I've read. I mean, like honestly, I could feel, like through your post that you had on social media, I could feel it. Like it was heart-wrenching and it tugged at my soul. I could feel the emotion of what it did inside of you. And so try to just, what happens when you see those things on a video like that?
It's hard to put into words, because he's me, he's Ak, he's any of my brothers that have experienced what you just asked us, and it's gone on for so long. So when you see it happen over and over and over again, it's tough. And then people don't speak out about it, and that to me is the biggest thing. That's my biggest cry for help. It's from everyone else, because it matters. This problem is not just a black problem. It's not just a black problem. It's a humanity problem. So when I see things like that, and yeah, it hurts me, but I want it to hurt you. I want it to hurt you. I want it to hurt everybody. I want it to hurt everybody, because we're all one. And when I see that, I see Tyrone Ellison, I see D. Ellison, I see my brothers.
Right.
So it hurts. I feel hurt. I feel pain, suffering. Not just for me, for everybody, because I know they feel the same thing.
One of the things that I knew in that moment when I saw that, and like I told you, is like I don't speak out loud because I don't know what to say. And I don't want to say the wrong things.
Right.
But I knew in that moment not to speak, not to say something, not to do something like this, was agreeing and was saying that I'm okay with it. And I'm not. I'm just like, it breaks my heart. And that's why I say I would read your post and it's like, man, I can feel his hurt right now.
Right. I think you're alluding to I posted loud in the arena.
Yeah.
Silent when we need you. And that's what I just said it was.
Rap lyric? Is that a song?
Nah.
You just came up with it.
Off the top of the dome.
It's a great analogy.
It is.
Just and that's what it was. It's a cry for help, man. You go into Sanford Stadium on Saturday, and for 3.5 hours, 105,000 people that don't look like me.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I'm up in the stands.
Are my biggest advocate.
Absolutely.
And then in an instance like this, where are those voices? Where are those?
Yeah.
Where are those voices? Even when I say something about it, where's your voice?
Yeah.
Where is it? Still, where are they? So that's what that post was a sentiment to.
Yeah. And I think some people, I don't know, because I didn't read all the comments. I'm sure you've probably seen more than of it, but I think some people think it's like you're I don't know exactly how to say this, but I think like you're yelling at him. It's like, no, it's a cry. Like, you're saying,
Exactly.
help. I need help.
Exactly. I mean, if you think about it, that's what we've been doing forever, man.
Yeah.
Forever we've been singing.
Yeah.
Forever. And those songs have fallen on deaf ears. But we're still singing. We still singing. We still want help. And that's all that is a cry for you to use your voice.
Yeah.
You to open your eyes and see these things that are going on. You to be empathetic to these things that are going on. And I think empathy in itself is a big thing right now.
Yeah.
Huge thing.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about before we turned the cameras on. Is just, and I was watching a post by Montel Jordan. You know, this is how we do it. But by the way, that dude is tall.
He's
Montel.
about 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah,
I
he's tall.
met him down at the Gwinnett Arena
Yeah,
a few years
but
back.
I was watching a post that he had where he was talking about the difference between sympathy and empathy, and he was saying, "Man, white people have sympathized about it. Man, it's like, oh, that sucks. You know, oh man, I hate it for you." But we got to start empathizing, and that's what his cry was. It's like y'all got to start. You got to start learning and start understanding, and that's what I want to do. So tell me, you're a father of two boys. One of them is out of the house
In L.A.
in L.A. Come on now, you turn him into a Dodgers fan.
No, but he's definitely a USC fan.
Oh,
Definitely a
well,
Trojan.
we'll talk about that later.
And we can pray for him because this is the setting.
Yes, yeah.
can pray for
He's
it.
going to need it if he's a Trojan. But anyway, that's beside the point. And then you have one in high school.
Yes.
Yeah, 10th, 11th grade?
He's going into the 11th.
11th. So he's the same age as my daughter.
Yes.
The oldest. So tell me, and one of the things like your youngest son and my oldest daughter, same age. And so my daughter started driving in October. She's 16. And so when you see things that happened to George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, things like that, and there's a lot more we could list. Go back to the Ferguson that happened a few years ago. But when you see things like that, what does it do to, like, as a father, in the fear? Because the greatest fear that we have, right? We're all dads. The greatest fear we have is for our kids. No matter it is. And so as a father, what does that do to kind of say, guys, look, you gotta, what fears does it well up as a dad?
Well, when I saw it the first time, I thought, just like Tavares, he thought, that could be Ock, that could be, Ty, Kevin, D, all these guys. But I took it a step further. That could be my kids. That could be Sydney.
Yeah.
And why? I have to have a conversation with my guys about, I'm going to call it getting pulled over etiquette.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to call it, which you don't have to do that.
Nope.
You tell your daughter, honey, make sure you follow the traffic laws, make sure you know where your driver's license is, make sure you know where the insurance is, don't speed, don't ride too many people around, don't drink and drive, don't do all these things.
Yep.
Well, I had to do those things too, but then I got to add another layer on it.
Right.
When you get pulled over, if you do, not if you do, when you get pulled over, you need to show your hands. You need to be respectful. You need to avoid confrontation.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No.
You have to. And it's
Dark, turn the light on.
Yeah, and so at that point, it's like you're at the mercy of the officer. And let me say this before we get any further. I have some cop friends that are amazing.
Absolutely.
I don't know a bad cop. I don't. I guess they're out there. They got to be out there. There's some bad people out there. So I want to preface whatever I say this evening. There is, the guys I know are not bad. I don't know any bad cops, okay? I've never had a negative experience other than one time here in Habersham. And I can speak on that later, but, you're asking me about the situation and my kids. And I have to go down that road with my kids in fear that, he might make a sudden move in his car and this guy's uneasy because he's just pulled over a black kid. Now, my kid has dreads, so that's a whole nother level for some cops. I mean, whoa.
Yeah.
So as a black male, we have to do things differently than you as a white male. For example, now, because of what happened in New York in Central Park, when I stop to help somebody that's a different color of me or whatever, I got to be careful that they're not accusing me and going to call the cops on me. I never really thought about doing that before. But now that's just one more thing in my mindset that I got to be prepared for just in case. So, you know, it's just a different conversation that we have to have with our kids, and we're both dads.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what it is. We're dads. We should kind of have the same conversations in terms of, you know, the laws of the highway. But, you know, now my guy has got to put your hands on 10 and 2.
Yeah.
Don't move until they tell you to. Accept whatever they say to you. And I, you know, I just don't like that.
I can honestly tell you, I've been pulled over the greater side of once or twice in my life. maybe a lot. But I can honestly tell you, I've never once feared as the cop came to my door, just, is this cop going to look at me and say something? You know, just suspect something. As a matter of fact, I was telling my wife, like, as we were preparing for this, and I told her, I was like, I got pulled over when I was 18 in my hometown down in South Georgia. And and this was in the 90s, and so there was, like, teenagers could still be out late at night, and it was probably 2 a.m. And we all know nothing good happens after midnight anyway, right? Right on. Yeah. And so I'm going home, and I cut the corner really fast, got pulled over, and the cop comes out and goes, "Can I search your car?" And so I'm 18, remember, I'm a little punk kid. He says, search it. I don't care. You ain't gonna find nothing. And so, like, but that's me, because I knew, like, I didn't have to worry about it. You know, I could just, and if he was going to try to do something, I knew who the sheriff was. He went to my church. You know, he was my small group leader at church. And so, like, all this other stuff. And so I'm just like, yeah, go ahead. Like, and so the attitude even that I found in my own life is different. Like,
So you know what I call that, and a lot of people call that, and no offense,
no.
that's white privilege.
That's exactly what it is.
You get to do things.
Yeah.
You get to spout off at the cop.
Yep.
And he might say, "I'm gonna call your daddy." I do that, I'm probably gonna get pulled out, harassed a little. I'm not gonna say it's gonna go to the extreme,
Yep.
but it's gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
And depending on how I react, that's probably where it's gonna go.
Right.
So.
Well, let's just take a step further on that. Like, your oldest daughter, your only daughter, and my youngest daughter,
Right.
are the same age.
Correct.
Go to school together, play basketball together, play on the same team together. You've coached them, I've coached, and so automatically, if they were to walk into a store together wearing the same outfit, and let's say they're wearing a hoodie, and they walk in, and your daughter is automatically going to get looked at differently than my blonde hair and blue-eyed daughter.
1,000%.
And just because of she looks different than
Correct. Correct. And to that point, like, I talks about having to teach his son how to drive. My mom, I can remember my mom telling me, I hung out with I had a lot of white friends growing up. I grew up here, I had a lot of white friends. I can remember her telling me, "All right, I know what y'all about to go do. If y'all get in trouble, you gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna get in trouble. You gonna get in trouble."
Yeah.
To that point, that even having to teach your kids something like that is just absurd, man.
You almost have to teach them a new way of thinking.
Yeah, but
And they can't
I
think for
knew,
themselves.
like, when we were doing whatever we was doing, blowing somebody's house or something, I knew, like, oh, boy, if I get caught, like,
Yeah.
it's going down. So that, again, that doesn't make it right, but it's real.
Yep. And that's the point that we're trying to make, is just because you may not see it, I may not experience it, doesn't mean that it's not out there.
Right,
It's not
correct.
there. So shifting gears in this, the point and kind of the overarching idea of this series that we're in called Recovery Road is recovery starts with me. It doesn't start in the White House. It doesn't start in the Golden Dome in Atlanta. It doesn't start somewhere. It's got to start right here. Whatever that recovery is, whether whether it's alcohol recovery or, financial recovery or racial recovery. And so it's got to start right here. And so practically, what are some things that we can do? So the big thing of I think the devil's deadliest weapon right now is social media, 1,000%. And some of the ideas that people just throw out there on social media and what they say, just like they're keyboard warriors. And I've been that keyboard warrior before. I mean, I'll be honest. And so, but what can we do to kind of curb? Because I think sometimes we have underlying tones. Like Like the popular one now, you know, it's really sad or it stinks that George had to lose his life. But this destroying of property has got to stop. Like the idea of that should be the opposite. Like it's tragic that property is being destroyed and stuff, but the killing of innocent black men has to stop. Has to stop. And so, but we say these things, and I want to say I get what people are saying in those. Like I understand it, but I don't understand it. So what can we do? How can we communicate these things that? Because my thing is a lot of this is taken. It's taken the idea or the focus off of the real problem at hand, and that's the racism that we see each and every day that's happening in our country, and I, for one, as a pastor, I don't want to stop talking about this because I think the church has been. I'll just be straight up honest with you, and I represent the church, and I know we've done a terrible job of it because we'll talk about it a little while after something like this happens, and then we're like, okay, let's on to the next thing, and look, the church is really good at being pro born babies, but we're not really good at really being pro life. Dr. Tony Evans said that he said we've got to, if we're going to be worried about the baby in the womb, and we're going to call that pro-life, we better be worried. If we're going to call ourselves pro-life, we better be worried about the life all the way to the tomb. And so that's my thing. And how can we as an individual? How can I as an individual? Just you can preach right to me for a second, and I'll take it. And just if you're listening, just know that they're preaching to me, but they're preaching to you too. And so what can I do? So if it starts with me, what can I do as a pastor, as a community leader? What can I do to keep this thing not just like, okay, we talked about it a little bit. We did our good duty. Let's move on. I don't want to do that. I want to keep it going.
Well, here's what I'll say. And this saying has been heard all over. What black people need for our white brothers and sisters to do is listen to us, hear us, and not listen and hear to have an answer, but listen to hear us, to understand what's going on. And then I guarantee you, when you hear what's going on and you process that and understand it, you'll know what to do automatically.
There you go.
You know what you'll do? You'll start calling out your friend that sits in the barbershop and says all these derogatory things about people. And that's going to cause a strain on the relationship. They might excommunicate you. But that's what it's going to take is for, and you know what? I'll take it a step further. As brothers, we got to do the same thing.
I was going to say that.
We got to, if he does that, I got to call him out and say, come on now. You know, if we want it right, everybody's got to do right.
Yeah.
And so listening to hear and understand and not listening to provide an answer. I mean, think about it. When you provide an answer to me, you're providing for me what you think should happen, not what I feel like should happen.
Sure.
You're telling me now, okay, so you're telling me this, so this is what you need to do, or this is what needs to happen. No, just hear me. Just listen. Go back and chew on it, and I guarantee you'll come up with some kind of way to help the cause. It might be to say, you know what? Every month, I'm going to unite all the churches in Habersham, and we're going to meet at the biggest location here, and we're going to have church together. Because Sunday, if we want to be real and talk, Sunday is still, and until we change, the most segregated day
Yep.
of the week, of the year, of the month.
There's
Sunday.
52 days of segregation.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes. And you know, I know it's been done here in Habersham because Bishop Burns, he heads that up. But we got to do that to get everybody together. I think we're afraid of each other.
I think so.
We're afraid to learn about each other.
Why?
So,
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, that's a good question.
Why? Following that up, after you listen, continue to educate yourself. There's so many things out here to educate. Like there's a Netflix series called The 13th. Amazing Netflix documentary. There's so many ways to educate yourself. Once you listen, once you truly listen and get someone's truth, then educate yourself and continue to be part of the movement.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, as an athlete, that when you do speak up, when you speak out, I wanted to just hit on this because I know some of the people that are listening right now and that are my friends on Facebook have said this when an athlete speaks up and speaks out. They've said, just shut up and dribble.
Right.
Especially LeBron. Like LeBron, look, I think LeBron is a phenomenal. Like some of the things he says, I'm like, I don't know, but it's his opinion. And like, but I like as an athlete, and you knowing a bunch of athletes, obviously, because you played for many years. Why is it important for athletes to not just shut up and dribble?
The biggest thing in that aspect for me is to show people that we are more than athletes. Like I'm the first thing you see when you see me isn't a football player. You see a black man. I'm a dad.
Yeah.
I'm a husband. I'm a coach.
Yeah.
I'm a scholar. I'm a business owner. So why shouldn't I be able to speak out on all those things?
Yeah.
I'm that before a football player.
Yeah.
Football is just a passion of mine.
Yeah. Right.
Football is something God gave me the talent to do. He made me a dad, a husband, a scholar, all those other things as well. So why shouldn't I be able to speak out on those?
Yeah, I agree, 100%. I mean, you're to me, and I told our executive pastor Tanner this. I said, in a way, like your comment when you say loud in the arena. The way I took that is, and this is going to be a little edgy, and I'm okay with that.
Me too.
This is going to, like, you're a porn star to some people. You're there for their entertainment, and then when they don't need you,
So
I'm done.
right.
You know, I'm it. That's good. I mean, he served his purpose. Man, he scored the touchdown.
Right.
You know, we won the game. Yeah, you know, and so you're just there for entertainment. It's a simple, like, it's the same thing that when the porn industry is built. It's there for entertainment.
Right.
And then when they don't need them, when they're done with them,
Out of there.
and so it's kind of that sentiment. It's that idea, and like I want people to speak out because what does it do for me? It helps me learn. I'll never be able to relate to LeBron. The guy's got so much talent, and he's got more basketball talent in his fingernail than I've ever had in my life. And we used to play, like on Sunday afternoons, we'd get together and we'd play. And one of the reasons, like, I would go and play because I was out of my league. As a matter of fact, my wife, last time I played, she was like, oh, "You're starting to look old." And I was like, "Thank you, I love you too." But it's true. But one of the reasons most of the guys there didn't look like me. And I was out of my league. Like, they're way better athletes than me. They're way better basketball players than me. But I want to be in that so I can learn, I can relate, I can understand. Even though, like, some of them, like, they come in smelling like some substances that, and you know, and like, and I don't live in that world. And so, but like, I'm there because I want to understand. I want to be a part of it. I want to learn. And so, and one of the things that I heard yesterday, and he was talking about is, like, you know, people that say they're colorblind, they don't see black, white, or anything like that. Here's the thing: the problem with that is God's not colorblind either, and so He sees black and white, and that's why He made us different. And He didn't make us just so we could appreciate culture, and so we could listen to, you know, so the country boy could blare rap music, you know, kind of thing. He made us so we could live in unity together, and that's what He talks about in His Word when He talks about living in unity, is bringing your culture and living together and having what you talked about, those church services that look more like heaven than they do something else.
Right.
And so And that's the big thing. So,
Can I jump in here?
Yep.
Because I think you guys failed to mention that I was an athlete too. So
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
I'm sitting here
You
like
can't have it all. You can't have the doctor and the athlete. You can't have both.
no. I'm saying I'm sitting here, a pretty good athlete myself, and
I call you the king of the pump fake.
Oh, that
works.
he is.
It works.
Whatever works.
Yeah. Sorry. You mentioned it earlier. You said you played basketball.
I
Come on.
think people that say things like that try to silence, especially the black athlete, because that individual holds so much weight. He has a major platform where all white, like LeBron James is following. He's got white kids,
Yep.
black kids, Hispanic kids, interracial kids, Asian kids,
International kids.
He's
I mean,
got kids
kids
all
that don't
over.
speak English.
And if we can silence him, then they don't get that information.
Right.
And now we're still back where we are.
That's good.
And so I think people that say stuff like that, just shut up and dribble, you're too powerful. And we can't have you speaking into lives because then we get change. And change is not good for what I think we're set up for. We've set this up for this. If this changes, now I'm just an average person.
Right.
So
No, that's
I
good.
just slip that in there about
That's
the
good.
athlete too.
That's good. That's good. I was an athlete, just not basketball or football. I played a lax sport. I played baseball.
Those guys are athletic too. Don't get it twisted.
Except for pitchers. They aren't very athletic.
Well, they got to run.
Yeah,
They run a
do.
lot.
They do. They do run a lot. But so let's just kind of. I think we could probably talk about this for hours. But I do want to talk about how do we get better? What are ways that we can things that let's dream a little bit. We have a saying here that everyone's welcome because nobody's perfect. Anything's possible. And so we believe the reason why we say everyone's welcome is because we believe it. We truly say, look, you can. I mean, I jokingly tell people we're probably the most tattooed staff of any church. And I mean, our executive pastor's got tattoos all over his body. I got tattoos. I'm able to cover them up. But like we say everyone's welcome. We truly mean it. Like I'll give you an example. Just this week, someone sent me a message on Facebook and talking about, hey, we're gonna come try your church. And I was like, man, that's awesome. I said, but let me warn you. My husband, she's white, he's black, has had some problems with church in the past because we'll walk in, interracial couple, and everyone turns and looks right at them and wonders. And I said, look, I can promise you that we are a church that I've worked hard, our staff has worked hard, our leaders have worked hard to establish this church to say, we don't care what you look like. We don't care how you're dressed, as long as you are dressed. It's, a few weeks ago, I did an illustration about it that we're actually really good at welcoming people who come dressed in jeans and shorts and T-shirts and all this stuff. But if someone shows up in a suit, we're like, what you got going on? Yeah, right. And so I did a sermon a few weeks back, and I wore a suit, and everyone laughed at me and said, I can't believe you own a suit. But we want to reform this thing. We want to work towards a solution in this. And so one of the questions I have for you, Octavius, being in education, a principal, and being able to of an elementary school. My wife's elementary school teacher, and so I asked her this question that I'm going to ask you, and I won't give her answer. But how can we teach racism different in school? I'll give you an example. When I was coming through school, it was in the 80s, elementary school. I'll date myself just a little bit too. When I was coming through school, and this was in a predominantly black community in South Georgia. I was taught by black teachers. I remember fourth grade Miss Green. Man, she was our history teacher, and man, she was mean. But see, I remember because we went to church together too. And so, but I remember like she taught because that's the way you taught it, as racism was dead because we have laws that killed it. Segregation laws killed it. So racism doesn't exist anymore. It's over. It's dead. slavery doesn't exist anymore because the Emancipation Proclamation back in 1865, when Abraham Lincoln, so slavery doesn't exist anymore. But if you look at stats today, over 80 million people live in some sort of bondage or slavery. How can we teach this different in all the way from kindergarten or even preschool up to bring awareness to this, as this is not something that was. This is.
So I'll say this, and I'll start by saying this. I think my staff at our school, I think we're doing that. I'll just give you the demographics of my school. It is 99.9999% white, and I'm the principal.
Right.
Okay? And none of the students have an issue with me.
Right.
I don't think any of their parents do either, but I mean, there might be one or two out there. And if it is, come talk to me and we can clear it, because I'm a good guy. I really am. So I think in areas like this in particular, we got to have people in the buildings that look like me or Tavares or like the little black kid that's in that class or that class. And not just because of him, but because of the white kids too.
Right.
They need to see us in positions not of authority, but in positions where we're helping other people. Because normally what people see is, he's black, he's an athlete, or he's a coach.
Yep.
He's a coach.
Yeah.
And so that was my whole premise of majoring in early childhood education, was to knock that stereotype down. I didn't want to be a coach. I went into education to be a teacher. And I wanted to, debunk the myth of, all black guys going in to coach so they can coach the football team or the basketball team. That's not why I went in it. I went in it because I wanted little kids to have an experience at school that I wasn't fortunate to have. And they need to see people like me in their classrooms, walk in their halls. And then you share the information. Now, our whole education system and what we teach, I mean, it is what it is.
Comes from the top down.
Yeah, that's right. And so, however, that individual in the classroom, being white or black, you can always bring in other things to help those kids understand what's going on. For example, Black History, which is February, and y'all heard this, I heard some of my friends say they give us the shortest month. It's 28 days. And we're lucky on the leap year, we get 29. But really and truly, that should be in every month, every day.
I agree.
Show the contributions of what black folks have done to help this country, because black folks have helped build this country.
Absolutely.
And so that stuff needs to be taught in school. Kids need to hear that, and they need to see us in the school. And I'm telling you, I can walk in my school and I got nothing but love. I love those kids. They love me. And, you say you don't see color. They could care less if I was black. They don't care. What they care about is how I treat them. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing with adults. I don't care what color you are. If you're white, that's fine. If you and I got a good relationship and we understand each other and we're cool, that's good. So, we got to take it upon ourselves to do some things in our classrooms and in our schools to help that situation, because, with all the kids that we have, if I have one little black kid in that class, he's feeling some type of way, whether we know it or not. Yeah. He's looking around. There's nobody that looks like me. Mm-hmm. Nobody that looks like me. Even for our little Hispanic kids, we try to do something for them on Cinco de Mayo. Well, no, let's do that all year long so they can feel represented. Yeah. So they can feel appreciated. And when people feel appreciated, well, you start doing things. People are good when they're appreciated. I work harder when I'm appreciated. Yeah. So.
And I see some of the things you do, man. It's really good.
That's when I'm not on my medicine. So don't.
Okay. No, like some of the costumes you even wear. I'm like,
man, not on medicine.
I'm like, man, I don't even know that I do that for church, man. but
whatever will engage people.
That's right. That's
You know,
right.
A lot of people don't like to use social media, and right now it's being used for some negative things.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that, you know what? 95% of our parents, I believe, are on social media. I can send a message on social media and get a response quicker than I can any other way.
That's exactly right.
You know how I contact some parents when we can't get them on the phone number they left in the system? Facebook Messenger.
Yep.
Gets them every time. And please stop. Continue to answer when I hit you that way. Don't not answer me because
And
I'm telling my
can-
secret.
You can see when they see it too.
That's right. That's right. So don't stop answering because I've given away my secret. But it's just how people communicate. It's the best way to get them.
It is.
So we use social media for a good thing.
Yep.
And right now I think it's just people are hiding behind their computers to say what they want to say and be the toughest guy back there and
So kind of wrapping this up, I do want to hit on one more thing, and that's there's a popular hashtag met with another popular hashtag. I didn't prep you for this one, but you probably know what I'm talking about. There's a popular hashtag Black Lives Matter that's always met with a popular hashtag All Lives Matter. And so my thing on that is until. And I get, like, I'm a pastor, and 100%, all lives matter to God. Every single lives matter. Every single life matters, no doubt. We're not. That's not the argument. But when the Black Lives Matter hashtag is met with the All Lives Matter hashtag, to me, because it's usually met by a white person.
1,000%.
Yeah. 100% of the 100% of the time. Yeah. And so when it's met with that, that's met with a condescending attitude. But in my mind, when someone says Black Lives Matter, what they're saying is you can say all lives matter, but it's just a hashtag until all lives matter equally. Mm-hmm. All lives matter hashtag doesn't hold any weight.
Right.
Because what we can see and what we know in society today, and you can dispute it, you can try to dispute it. You don't have to like me for saying this. You don't have to watch this for me saying this. But in America today, all lives don't matter equally. And so when we say, and someone uses the hashtag Black Lives Matter, what they're saying, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but what they're saying is, until all lives matter the same, we're going to say that Black lives need to matter.
Correct.
Up.
Correct.
Two, in addition.
Right.
Yes.
And I think all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter because we're included in all lives, right? And I guess an analogy I like to use is your house matters, right?
Yeah.
My house is on fire. The fire department comes to my house because my house is on fire. Your house still matters,
Right.
but my house is on fire. Black lives matter.
Right.
We're on fire.
Yeah.
Your house isn't on fire, but you matter as well.
Right. Because I don't think I haven't talked to a black person, man or woman, that would not say all lives matter.
Yeah, nobody.
Like if they said, well, just Black Lives Matter, well, I would tell them they're wrong.
Exactly.
The same thing that I would tell any other person that said, well, just white lives matter, because they're wrong. But until we get to a point in our country where everything is equal, that's the cry.
Right.
And I've the analogy you used about houses, like I've seen that, but you told me an analogy right before we started, and it was before you got here. Tell me that analogy.
And I'm not smart enough to create this, so I was reading. And
This
Ron
is the
Clark,
second. No, this is the second time you've said it. Have you said it before this?
Today was the first time.
It's better sound better.
So when you say it 3 times, it's yours.
Okay. Well, no. I can't take that because this is live streaming and it might be copyrighted.
That's a little pastor talk. Once you say it 3 times, it's yours.
All right. So Ron Clark from the Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta puts it like this. He says, and I'm paraphrasing and I'm not necessarily sure, but this is how I'm telling the story. he had somebody that was dealing with breast cancer. So he wanted to bring awareness to breast cancer. So they did a breast cancer walk. They did wristbands. They did all these different things to bring attention to breast cancer. But he isn't saying, look, it's all about breast cancer. I don't care about colon cancer. I don't care about lung cancer. I don't care about any of the other cancers. It's just all about breast cancer. That's not what he's saying. He's just saying, I'm bringing attention to breast cancer. All cancer sucks.
Yeah.
But at this moment, this affected my life, and I want to do something about it. And that's the same thing that Black Lives Matter is saying. Listen, I get it. All lives matter. I know that. But right now, what's affecting me and my community is black lives are being destroyed. And I want to do something about it. And that's what the Black Lives hashtag means. Black Lives Matter hashtag means. It doesn't mean forget about you.
Right.
I don't care about you.
Yeah.
It's just all about us. And that is not the case. I hope I'm speaking right. I hope that's what it means. I know that's what it means in my heart and my friends and my family.
Right.
It's not about anybody else not mattering. It's just at this moment in time, Black lives.
We got to have
matter.
some awareness.
Yeah.
Got to have some awareness to it because it's destroying lives. I heard Bernice King on the interview or the press conference that they did in Atlanta. I think you shared Killer Mike's heartfelt just response to that, and then Dr. Bernice King was on there, and she said, "Look, I'm angry. Okay, those emotions of the little 6-year-old girl come back. I remember I can tell you exactly where I was when I found out my dad was dead. Those emotions come back when I see this, and George Floyd has a 6-year-old daughter, and she was just you could like same thing like you could just feel the emotion through the press conference of just like, man, this has got to stop. Like all the things that my dad fought for, not my dad, but Dr. King fought for, all those things that he stood up for, it's got to stop, and it does. And the thing about it is it's not gonna. There's no law that's gonna stop it because there's already laws on the books that are supposed to stop it. It's got to start right here. We've got to start understanding and realizing our own prejudices, and start speaking out like what you guys said. Start speaking out and calling brother out. It's like, man, I get the joke, and it's not funny. Like, you're talking down, or I get what you're trying to say, but in this moment, that's not the time to say it. We need to do better. We got to do better, and I believe that it's got to start right here. It's got to start in my heart, and it's got to and me being a pastor and able to preach and teach and influence other people. I've got to do what I can do to stand up and tell people from the small little platform that I've got, and hopefully maybe one or two will catch it, and they'll start telling people, and then one or two will catch it, and they'll start telling people. But we've got to use whatever platform we have to bring awareness to this and say that enough is enough, guys. We can't keep going like this, because the fact of the matter is our Father in heaven. One of the things that I tell people is when I look at you, what's changed in me, because I've been to some third world countries where and I've seen some crazy things like what parents do to their kids, and I'm just like, how can you do that to your kids? How can you do that? But when I look at other people, what's changed in my life since I've met Jesus and followed him is when I look at you and I look in your eyes and I look in your eyes and whoever else's eyes I look at, when I look at you guys and I see a soul that Jesus went to the cross for, not where you grew up, not who you hang out with, not what kind of music you listen to, not did you vote Republican or did you vote Democrat, not those things. But when I look at people and I see, man, that is a soul that Jesus went to the cross for. And if it was the only soul, he'd have still gone to the cross for. It changes. If you say you love Jesus and you say you believe what he did for us, it changes how you treat people. It has to. If it doesn't,
It's not real.
if it doesn't, I'll be bold and say this. I've said it the last few weeks. Then you don't know Jesus. Not the Jesus in the Bible. You may know a guy named Jesus. You may know of Jesus, but you don't know Jesus. And so, my thing is we've got to do better. And it's got to start with listening and learning. And it's got to start with coming down off of our high horse and starting to understand, starting to say and empathize and come down and come in things like this and listen to things like this and holding more of these, and getting, not having, that's that church or that's that church. It's the church. The church. And I tell people that don't like, we on Sunday mornings our music's kind of loud, and so I tell people that don't like the loud music that they're going to hate heaven because it's going to be loud. I tell people the same thing that have a tendency to bend towards a race. They're racist. You're going to hate heaven because number one, Jesus wasn't white, and number two, if you read the Bible, you read the whole thing. It says that everyone, every race, every creed, every color is going to be there, and so why are we drawing dividing lines here? Because ultimately, when we get to heaven, we're going to be with you.
That's right.
And so, man, we've got to work harder. We've got to do better. And I'll just tell you that I'll ask y'all, hey, hold me accountable. Hold me accountable as a pastor, as a leader. Say, hey, what are you doing? What have you been doing to? I'm fine with people holding me accountable. What have you been doing? How are you keeping the ball rolling? How are you pushing this thing forward? How are you continuing to show awareness to this issue? Because here's what we know: until we start dealing with it here, it's not going away. It's not going away. And so, but we can start shining some light on it, start calling some people out, and one by one, it's going to trickle down.
And it's not even a matter of calling them out. More so of educating them. Dude, if you love God, man, I know you love God. You say you do, but how can you feel that ill will towards that person right there?
Yeah.
So more so than calling them out, educate them and try to get their heart to turn back to God, because that's ultimately
Right.
the issue that we're having.
Yep.
We got people just running free right now,
Yep.
and
Yep.
saying whatever and doing whatever. So.
Yep. So, well, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you guys coming and sharing your heart and just helping me to be a better leader, helping me to be a better pastor, knowing that that if you guys are hurting, then the Bible says I need to be hurting with you, and that's what I'm doing, and I do, and I don't know what hit me when I saw that video of George Floyd, but man, I started crying, and I made my kids watch it. As horrifying as it is, not my 2-year-old because he wouldn't have cared anyway, but the other ones, I made him watch it, and I remember Nolan, my son, who you know pretty well. He asked me, why is he doing that? I didn't have an answer. I don't know, son. I don't know. And so it hurt. And I can't imagine, because I didn't put my shoes and say that could be me, like y'all have. Yeah. And so I want to understand. I want to learn. I want to listen. And so thank you guys so much for being here this morning, today, and I hope we can do this again and continue to shed light on it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for embarking on the conversation.
Yeah.
That's step one.
Yep.
That's a start. That's right. That's a start.
And I won't say everything right. Lord knows, I'm sure somebody's going to call me out on Facebook. They already have.
Well.
But I think the important thing is just starting the conversation, getting it going. So thank you guys. Let me pray for us and Father, man, thank you for today. Thank you for this conversation that we've had. Thank you for my brothers here, that they've been open and honest and real towards what they're feeling in this time, towards what they're experiencing and they have experienced, God. It's not right. And God, may we repent and turn back to you. That our only solution is to heal our heart. So God, I'm going to pray the prayer that David prayed in Psalm 139. To search me, O God. Know my heart. Know my innermost beings and test me to see if there's anything that's filthy inside of me, God. And I want to invite others to pray that with me. Just search me, O God. Come inside and ask, is there anything in me that's offensive? Is there anything I need to confess, I need to root out? Because it starts right here. It starts with me. It can't start somewhere else. It can't start in the White House. It can't start in the Capitol. It's got to start in my heart. And God, today, I ask that the walls start coming down. God, that we start using this time. That we take these instances and don't just sweep them under the rug and then move on, God. That we keep going after the real issues. God, that we address the injustices. Father, I thank you that you've given us this opportunity to have this open conversation. Father, we love you and we thank you. In your name, amen.